This is Meryl.
No, that's unacceptable. Listen, tell Warren if we don't ship by Tuesday, we won't be in the stores by Mother's Day, and that's unacceptable. So don't give me any excuses and do it. Do it! Just shut up and get it done!
Oh, honey, you broke your phone.
It's okay. I carry extras.
Okay, and that's from Rat Pack. And if you ever, would you like to be on the other end of that phone with that woman who's saying, just do it, just do it? And think of people in your own life who just, they lose it. And they look at you, and they may be cool, calm, and collected in front of other people, but maybe in the privacy of your own home, they lose it like that. And you just hear that type of anger, and it drives you crazy. You don't know how to deal with that. Now, it may be you that's having that anger. If so, that's one of the many types of questions you can call me on. Call me and ask me about them. Dr. Ellen Kenner, my show is The Rational Basis of Happiness, and I'm here each week to answer your questions. I'm a clinical psychologist. And right before the break, we were talking with Penny, who had a 7-year-old child, and I talked about the skill of reframing. She was looking at her 7-year-old son as if he wanted to control the world. He's an only child. He wants to rule the roost. And as a parent, if you have that mental mindset, that framework in your mind, then you look at your kid as the enemy. No little 7-year-old is going to tell me what to do. And I recommended that she look at him more as a scientist, that he preferred, instead of doing what Mom and Dad wanted to do, to pick strawberries, he wanted to study frogs. And that's like a wonderful value for a kid at the age of 7. He's motivated by values. So how do you make a child want to pick strawberries? Well, you can invite them to maybe look for frogs in the strawberry field. You motivate by values. Also, if you've got an only child, you need to get breaks for yourself. You need to get regular sitting and get out with your hubby and get out, or your wife if that's the case, and also just to get out alone sometimes. That you need that for your own sanity. You need it if you have more than one kid too, but especially if you've got an only child. It's important for the child to know that there's mommy time and daddy time, and then there's family time, this time with mommy, time with daddy, but mommy and daddy also have to have some time alone. You need to help your child get in the habit of realizing that that's part of life. And right now we're going to turn to the phones and welcome Mickey. Mickey, your husband's depressed?
Oh, my boyfriend. I've been with him for about I've been with him for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
He's got a real severe case of depression, and I was just wondering where I would go to start looking for help. I don't know where to start.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions first. How old is he?
28.
He's 28 years old. What does he do for a living?
Drives a tow truck.
A tow truck.
Mm-hmm.
And on a scale of 0 to 10, I know you can't answer for him, but just guessing, 10 being the best, how do you think he feels about driving a tow truck for a living?
A 10.
He's a 10. He loves it?
Yeah.
Oh, he loves his job. Okay, then what if... When someone tells me a person is depressed, the first thing I would check is the medical. Has he had his thyroid checked?
No.
Oh, he's got to get to a doctor, because sometimes I've seen people who are very depressed and they go from therapist to therapist. They try different therapy medications, and it just is hypothyroidism. They just have...
Maybe my question would be, like, do you know, like, a hotline or something where I could find a doctor for him?
Where do you live?
In Pompano Beach, Florida, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, you're going to have a medical society, but better yet, do you have insurance?
No, not well. He will. With his job, it will be a couple months, but it's to the point where he needs it now.
Yeah, I would actually call your medical society. You can look in the phone book in Pompano, or you can Google it, and call tomorrow and try to see if they have any sliding scale doctors that he could go to, or sometimes teaching hospitals will take on patients for a much reduced fee. But let me ask you a few more questions with the so that's what you can do in terms of taking action. And you may be able to, you can also call, that would be for the medical, to rule out thyroid problems if he hasn't seen, you've got to rule out not just thyroid, but anything that mimics depression that happens to be a biological cause. Once a medical doctor says, listen, we've run all the tests on you, you've got a clean bill of health, it's psychological.
Right.
Well, if it's psychological, then you would go to a therapist, and I would recommend seeing a cognitive therapist. It's a website, Academy of CT, for cognitive therapy.
So what would the website be?
Academy of CT.
Academy
of CT.org. And you can go to my website, drkenner.com, drkenner.com, and get more information on depression and the rest, and get books that I recommend. But the big question, if he came into my office, I would ask him, what is the biggest loss in your life right now? What do you think?
Kids.
His kids. Tell me about that.
His mother had him taken away by DHS.
Okay, why?
So
why?
he's fighting because drugs.
Okay, you're whispering them. What, he was doing drugs?
They were both, and they were living with her, and she got him taken away, and he's been trying to fight to get him back.
When you say they were
the
both,
depression,
Mom and Dad were both doing.
Right.
Your husband, not your husband, your boyfriend was doing drugs.
Right,
Okay.
they separated, but she got the kids taken away, and he's been fighting this battle for 2 years, trying to get them back. And
How old are the kids?
They are 2 and 3.
2 and 3 years old. Okay,
so he's been fighting it for 2 years, and it's just gotten to the point where he's in such a deep depression that he doesn't want to do anything. All he wants to do is sleep. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He just wants to stay at home.
Okay, a cognitive therapist. See, when you say depressed, this sounds like a clear therapy case, but still I would go to a medical doctor. I always like to have that ruled out, that there's some other cause. But if he is throwing in the towel with a value as high as his kids and just giving up, that could cause a pretty significant depression.
Right.
And you're staying with him because you love him, or what's it like for you?
I've known him for 7 years. We've been together for a year and a half.
Yeah. No drugs now? No drugs now?
No. Everything's gotten a lot better since, for the last year and a half. But he's still, the depression's it's just, I guess I can see it because I've been there. Because, I don't know, I've been in a situation, not with the kids dealing, but I've been where he is, and I don't know how to help him because when he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't want to be alive.
He's suicidal.
But he doesn't.
He's not actively. He's passive.
Right.
So here's what.
Right.
There's a book on my website, Choosing to Live, which both of you can read. When you feel like you've got such a significant loss that you can't go on, what I help clients do is recognize that, yes, it's very bad, and yes, in this case, he has some guilt. He did lose the children because he was using drugs, right?
Right. Well,
and who's got it?
He was the main reason, but because she had custody of him, and they came and took him from her.
So who has the children right now?
The state.
The state has the children, and he feels really guilty about that.
Well, what it is they tell him that they need this class and they need this, but they got him on a waiting list for this, and then when he goes back
but
to
he
the
can
court,
read. There are parenting books on my website that he can read, and if he brings that information back, if he applies it, if he's real eager to earn those kids back, he needs to see a clear path to doing so. He should get the cognitive therapy too. But let me give you I mentioned a few different resources. Choosing to Live, I think, if he's suicidal. Also, Mind Over Mood. Go to my website. We don't have time to write everything down, but go to my website and you'll see some very good books. My website's drkenner.com.
I actually have it up on the computer.
Oh, wonderful. I'm Dr. Ellen Kenner, and it's been great and you're listening to The Rational Basis of Happiness.
Here's an excerpt from The Selfish Path to Romance by Dr. Ellen Kenner.
A big romance destroyer is emotional repression, which is a psychological defense mechanism that prevents painful emotions from entering into conscious awareness through a standing order to your subconscious. don't feel. This works in the narrow sense in that it's possible to not let yourself feel emotions. The result, however, is a deadening of your emotional vibrancy. The mechanism of repression is a Trojan horse. It seems to benefit you, but in the end it works against you. Why? Because the standing order, don't feel, cannot discriminate between positive and negative emotions. It can only block emotional responsiveness as such. Thus, a repressed person becomes an emotional cripple who cannot fully experience feelings and therefore does not show much emotion at all.
You can download Chapter 1 for free at drkenner.com, and you can buy the book at amazon.com.